King Productions presents the BearDown Corner with your host, Sergeant Cornholio. Yo, everybody. Welcome back from another week of waiting for the BearDown Corner as we get into your Around the League news and a new section that we are starting this week where we will do it as a little 8-part mini-series where we will take a look at each division and let you know what is going on with each of the state of the franchises in that division. This week we start off with the NFC West, where we shall dive into the Seahawks, LA Rams, San Francisco 49ers, and of course the Arizona Cardinals. Let's get to it. This is State of the Division with Sergeant Cornholio of the BearDown Corner. Alright, so San Fran. Boy, do they got a lot of stuff going on, especially with free agency that just hit today. Losing some players, which we will dive a little bit into. So let's just get right into it, shall we? So they have released Malik Collins, who literally is a 29-year-old that started all 17 games for them last season. 33 tackles, 5 sacks, like big boy up the middle. I guess they can't afford these guys. They're getting ready in preparation to sign Brock Purdy to his big old contract extension. Probably going to range somewhere in 50 mil, 45 mil. Most guys are predicting. I think 49ers are going to try and get him for cheaper, honestly. They think they can. They better be careful with negotiations, though, because that just started a couple weeks ago, and if they're going to try and play hardball like they did, they didn't play hardball with the last few extensions, but they feel they're getting their worth for their dollar. You got a guy who, in clutch time situations, he has shown up, and he's also been beat down too, but in those games that they've lost, they haven't been fully healthy. Not saying that you can't be fully healthy and win games, but the 49ers, they had the injury bug last year, 100%. And for them to blame that on Brock Purdy is a complete misconception. You've had the best rookie quarterback contract for the last 4 years. Your window closed on that, yes, but it doesn't mean that your team is going to suffer completely. You're going to be just fine in the wide receiver department. You traded Deebo Samuel. You did that for a reason because you went and drafted Ricky Purcell last year. You seen Juan Jennings is what he can be. You gave the extension to Brandon Ayuk. Maybe you go and trade Brandon Ayuk this year. Who knows? Either way, you're not in the worst position. Now, you've lost some pieces. Like, already this morning, I came across, there's the one where Aaron Brooks from your offensive line, he went and signed with the Packers for 4 years, right? So you lost a solid starting guard. You have your safety, all-pro safety from a couple of years ago, Hufanga. He goes off to the I don't know where he signed off, but he went 3-year, 45 mil. He left for Denver is where he went. So you're going to miss some pieces, as it would be once you sign your quarterback contract. Now, we could get in the whole Chiefs discussion and the fact of their, building on their quarterback contract and all that, but other teams have done it and stayed competitive. Why can't you? So John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan have a couple steps to have to take in order to start finding those bargain contracts. Start drafting like you did back in the day. No more of these free agents. Your Super Bowl window is still there. It just has to be approached a different way. That team is loaded with gifted players. So the fact that you can't just put a surrounding cast around them, maybe you got to blow it all up, I guess. I don't know. Like, I don't see the 49ers as a bad franchise. They just had an off year. Christian McCaffrey, if the hope is he comes back next year in the way that they want him to, well, you'll see 49ers of old. But I don't see them being as that absolute dominance that they once were. Now, they're still going to win some games, though. Oh, you damn right they're going to win some games. That team is built for some hard-nosed football. And they're going to bring that to you this season. How they do that completely, that's up to them, because, you can only do so much when, you claim Trey Tomlinson. Okay, there's a nice little supporting guy. He's a former 6th-round draft pick, right? From where was he playing now? I think he was in Los Angeles Rams, if I'm not mistaken. You went and signed Ben Barch, right? Re-signed him. He was the backup to, I believe it was, no, not the left tackle, but he was backup to the guard that you just lost, actually. So you re-signed him. He's going to be your starter for 1.1 mil. Like, you got some salary cap issues. You got a big contract extension you got to sign to your quarterback. Not all is for fail. You'll eat some dead cap for a few years from the contracts you got rid of in Debo and other big names. But, Eric Armstead, another one. But this division in itself isn't even led by San Francisco anymore. But it's going to be a tough one to win, because you move from a team of San Francisco off into the LA Rams. Boy, did they have some drama this offseason. First, there was the whole Matthew Stafford debacle, right? On basically him wanting just an extension. That's all. He wanted more money. He wasn't going to be paid as like the 29th lowest paid quarterback in the league as a starting quarterback. He just wasn't. You weren't going to pay Matthew Stafford, who is probably top 10 quarterback material, $26 million. You just weren't. So he did should I retire? Should I not? Maybe I'll get traded. So they seen what his market was, and they came up with a 2-year, $100 million extension for Matthew Stafford. What else do they do? Go and sign their offensive line to an extension too. Alaric Jackson got a 3-year deal. So they shored up that aspect, right? I also came across my desk on the news of them signing Davante Adams to a 2-year, $46 million. I don't think he's a $23 million player anymore, but apparently the Los Angeles Rams do. And if that's the case, that re-signing of Tutu Atwell at 1/10 is going to look real good when he's blowing up past defenses in the regular season, when you got Mr. Puka Nacua and Davante Adams on the out, and this kid running slot right down the middle. He's a talented young kid. Not a lot of people know of him, but his name's Tutu Atwell, wide receiver. And in the absence of Cooper Kupp and Nacua and whoever the hell else was injured in the last few years, he has stepped up. I believe he's a former 5th-round draft pick. They like this kid. I like this kid. He might end up finding his way up my bench on my fantasy team this year when I'm looking for a wide receiver, and he's suddenly looking like the number 2 in Los Angeles because Davante Adams is having a shit break moment midway through the season. How that all plays out, we're going to find out. But also noted by the Los Angeles Rams this year is Tyler Higbee and right tackle Havenstein will be coming back for the 2025 season. Now, that's big news, right? That's a couple of good veteran leadership right there. You don't just go pick that up off the street. So they bring him back. They traded Yona Jackson. So I looked a little bit more into that, and I was really intrigued with how much Chicago took on of that contract. So because of the way they did it, Chicago took on enough of the contract that basically out of, I think, like, let's say 20 mil this guy was going to make, right? They're going to have, I think, 6 or so against the dead cap. Maybe it's 3. Maybe it was like 17 mil. Either way, they're going to free up 14 million. So no wonder they're able to get all these extensions done and then still go sign a guy like friggin' Davante Adams to shore up that wide receiver core. Like, Los Angeles is trying to put themselves in a position, because they really, who do they lose out to? The Super Bowl champions, right? And in that game, they were competitive right to the end. That was not a blowout game. That was probably Philly's tougher game they won in the playoffs. So in all seriousness, Los Angeles is not far off. That defense is young. They rebuilt that thing over the last few years in the draft. Jared Verse is rookie season, defensive player, rookie of the year. Like, this team should be looked at as a playoff player, obviously, I would think. Division winner, well, that can be yet to seen because this division is a little tougher this year. San Fran, they had their off year, whatever. They're going to try and come back and be the competitive they are. Los Angeles Rams, well, you know, they're doing all the right things, right? They're cutting the guys that they need to cut, that they feel they can get rid of, trading players as they need to, just as every other team is so far this offseason, but they're not far off. Like, they're going to trade Cooper Kupp. That's another one that we forgot, former Super Bowl MVP. They've already made it very clear. As much as, yeah, it could be a possibility, their plan is to get rid of Cooper Kupp this offseason. Simple as that. Get what they can worth out of him, I guess. Cut that cap. I don't know. I don't think Cooper Kupp's all that bad. I don't think he's like a definitive reason to not keep him on a team, but that cap, though, that cap hit, that is. I'm not even sure what the heck it's at these days, but I'm pretty sure if he's still following within his current contract, it's probably up there near 30 mil. For a player of his caliber right now, I don't think he's worth that. And I think the Los Angeles Rams see that too. Where does he end up? Probably not within the division, but I'm sure there's plenty of teams out there willing to take on a former Super Bowl MVP wide receiver. So who knows what the trade market will gauge for that young man. Arizona Cardinals. Yeah, Arizona Cardinals. So some under the radar, but still sneaky good moves in there. Oh, yeah, to recap so far, I don't think San Fran will make playoffs this year. I think they'll be competitive, but I don't think they'll make playoffs. LA Rams probably going to make playoffs. Whether that's as a wild card or division winner, we'll have to see. But right now, I got a non-playoff and a playoff look. Arizona, they are a dark horse wild card. I think they could sneak a playoff position this year. The GM came out last month saying, we got all this money, we're going to re-sign the guys we want to sign, but we're going to be active. And boy, have they been so far. And what I mean by that is right off the hopper today, all right, they go out and they sign Josh Sweat to a 4-year, $76.4 million contract when they didn't have a single guy on defense get 5 sacks or better last season. This guy has at least 7.5 as his career average. His best season coming with 11 when he had his Pro Bowl nod. I believe it was 2022. He's just a motor force ready to be reckoned with. So on a defense that was already near the back half of the season starting to get hot with some more no names, they've just added some significant piece. They were out for edge rusher, and they got him. So you pair that up with Baron Browning, who came on hot last season. They signed him to a 2-year extension at $15 million total. That young lad only played 8 games for them after being acquired in November. Okay, he's a former pick that got traded to the Arizona Cardinals from the Denver Broncos. Okay. 14 tackles, 3 quarterback hits, and 2 sacks for the edge rusher. So he's only 26. That's looking like a good trade that they did. And he's one of those rotational, keep the pace up kind of guys, right? Defense started getting better the second half of the season. He's one of the reasons, this kid. So they re-signed him. They re-signed their lawn snapper, Aaron Brewer, and special teams ace Joey Blunt. So, like, they're trying to just make sure that all 3 phases of the game are there. That offense is already taken care of. Maybe add, another running back in some capacity, but really, I guess they're comfortable with James Conner, and why not? Running backs are already showing they're able to go past 30 now. right? Mr. Derrick Henry, take care of your body. He'll take care of you. So, I don't know, man. I like what I see in Arizona. They're young. They're hungry. They added some pieces already, even adding Josh Sweat. Just came off an impressive Super Bowl run with the Philadelphia Eagles, and now you're going to throw him into a defense that just needed a couple pieces. He could be that missing piece. Kyler Murray is a hell of a quarterback. The man will do whatever he needs to do. They surrounded him with Trey McBride, with Marvin Harrison Jr. You don't just have an offense just gleaming at the brights, ready to take off like an explosive rocket and not do anything. Like, I don't see them being a bad team this year. I think they're going to be competitive. I think they're going to maybe possibly steal the division. Sorry to say that to all the NFC West, but they're my dark horse. They're my wild card this year. I like the Arizona Cardinals to surprise people. Now, we'll have to wait and see what the final results are, but hey, I'm saying it in the offseason, preseason, whatever you want to call it, before this 2025 season starts, they're my dark horse to take the NFC West this year. So we'll see how that one goes. But all in all, Arizona looking good, doing the right moves so far, signing key depth players where they need to, and this is only the start. Like, literally, we're doing our recording today on the release of free agency, basically. It's the but still legal tampering period because all the stuff can't be officiated until, like, the 12th, but today's the start of free agency. So Arizona already off to a start. And we finish up with the Seattle Seahawks. Now, Seattle has some stories, and I got some more prior to, like, I had to update my notes for this one because let's just get right into it. DK Metcalf, no longer a member of the Seattle Seahawks, traded to the Pittsburgh Steelers for a second-round pick, and originally, Seattle wanted a first and a third. I think they seen the market. I honestly thought they might only get a second and a fourth, but they got a second. So I guess I was somewhere in that vicinity. Contract-wise, though, he got his $30 million a season for 5 years. $150 for 5 year. $30 million a season for DK Metcalf. I hope the Pittsburgh Steelers can get themselves a quarterback. I'll just throw this little tidbit from the report source I seen. Steeler fans, there might be the rumor of Aaron Rodgers coming to Pittsburgh. So that's wait to be seen. But as of right now, anyway, the report that I have come across is just, interest of generalization is being shown in Aaron Rodgers for the Steelers. But back to the Seahawks. So DK Metcalf out. They released Tyler Lockett. He's out. They left the door for him to come back. Now, for Tyler Lockett, maybe you do. Because even after getting rid of DK Metcalf, right, you still got Jackson Smith there, right? Your top receiver from last year, statistically talking, right? He's going to be your number one now. Simple as that. Jackson Smith is now the number one in Seattle. Lockett comes back at 2. You shore up the offensive line to go with your brand new signed quarterback, unless proceedings somehow take place differently. Sam Darnold has signed a 3-year, $100 million contract with the Seattle Seahawks today. So you got your quarterback that had a 14-3 record last year with a Minnesota Vikings team that was on the cusp of doing it all. They just fell a couple games at the end of the season. So that comes in light of the Geno Smith trade, as they felt the money so Geno Smith's camp, and we'll get into this here. So Geno Smith's camp wanted about $45 million a season for their quarterback, right? 34-year-old quarterback. He's played starter for 4 years now, was a career backup, learning the ways of the game. He's reunited with Pete Carroll down in Las Vegas with the Raiders, who hired him this offseason. too much money was being asked. So what did Seattle do? Said to hell with it. We figure we can have our quarterback at this amount of money. Now, in that approach, you do set yourself up for the ability to sign a couple more players, put a good surrounding cast around these quarterbacks. Was it the smart thing to do? I can see it. You know, Darnold's 7 years younger. He's already gone through the life experience that Geno Smith more or less has. They both were New York Jets quarterbacks, shockingly. I think this has been a good turn of events for a franchise that some were calling a rebuild because of the moves they were making, right? They cut 4 players at the beginning of the week. Now, you know, let's not kid ourselves. They're not full-blown superstars, but these were some good support players, right? You had George Fontaine. Fant. You had Roy Robertson Harris, the defensive tackle, right? He went and visited Arizona earlier this week, so, you know, he might even be going there in the end. Who knows? Safety Rashawn Jenkins and Dramont Jones, outside linebacker. All these moves were done to get under the salary cap and whatever compliance, and now they started moving other pieces, shifting their roster around, and now you have the Seattle Seahawks without a DK Metcalf, but now without a Geno Smith, but now you got your new quarterback in Sam Darnold. You got Tyler Lockett maybe looking at this like, maybe I come back just at a more team-friendly deal. Or maybe a team goes out and signs Tyler Lockett, right? There's a lot of teams needing a vet wide receiver, just that solid little dude running routes. He's your dude if you need him, right? Like, they weren't done there, though. Seattle not only went and just changed things up a little bit on the offense, but they re-signed some defensive pieces, too. All right. Jaron Reed, defensive tackle, re-signs for 3 years at 25. Ernest Jones IV signs 3 year, $33 million, and they even re-signed DB Josh Jobe. Now, all those may not sound like super well-known names to the average NFL fan. Maybe for a Seahawks fan, you know all of them. But for Jobe, first off, a DB who earned his stripes and has earned himself the right to play probably as a starting corner next year for them. Vaunted with the other 3 levels that they re-signed, these key pieces to a defense that they want to intimidate. Smart moves. Very smart moves. You're getting guys at basically what is the equivalent of today's contract values for the next 3 years. And then when they show what they've done the last 3 years, then they'll get their next big extension. But I think leading in for the Seahawks, though, they're not rebuilding. McDonald and the rest of that crew are not rebuilding. They seen an opportunity to get younger at the quarterback position, to go with a guy who they see can maybe make some more explosive offensive plays, rather than a Geno Smith, right? Don't get me wrong. Let's not take away anything from Geno. The man is a starting quarterback in the NFL. He has proven that with the Seahawks. They won 10 games last year. It's not like they just had a slough season. But it just wasn't enough to get that ticket punched at the end, because the NFC was just such a shit show last year to make heads and tails of, right? Like, you had a 10-7 Seahawks team missing the playoffs. So, moving forward, can they make a push? I think they can. I don't see why they couldn't, right? Kenneth Walker III and Zach Charbonneau alone at running back is going to provide a 2-headed monster if they want to get back to running the ball. Then you throw Darnold in there with tossing it up to his new wide receivers and whoever else they bring in. They might have a little struggles, but I think they'll be competitive. They'll fight for those last wild card spots. They'll fight for those wild card spots, and then they'll continue to go from there, as the Seahawks and the rest of the entire NFC West is just going to be a wonderful masterpiece of work, as all football is, where each division is so competitive. And that is going to bring us to the end of the State of the Division for the first segment, in which we discuss 4 teams in each division leading up in the offseason for the 2025 NFL season. Now, some around the league news. Let's get into it. Steelers are interested in Aaron Rodgers after missing out after Justin Fields signs with the New York Jets. Russell Wilson is still up in question marks, but he's probably going to end up somewhere else in the long term, it might look like. Or who knows, they might sneak one in and get good old Russ back. But either way, quarterback interest being shown around the league for those quarterback needy teams, as they went and got themselves DK Metcalf from the Seattle Seahawks in that wonderful blockbuster trade that sent DK Metcalf with his brand new 5-year, $150 million contract, and of course a second round pick back to the Seahawks. So, Steelers interested in Rodgers. Jets signed Justin Fields to their 2-year, $40 million contract. He's probably the expected starter/bridge quarterback heading into the 2025 season. Myles Garrett, Mr. Moneybags himself, back the Brinks up and give me the $40 million. He signed a 4-year extension, $160 million extension, averaging $40-ish million a season for a non-quarterback player. That is huge. So much about wanting to win games, as the Browns are absolutely cap-strapped, and they're going to be in the same position the New Orleans Saints end up in the next few years, which is just, you got to sign fucking undrafted free agents. It's going to be a team of undrafted free agents by the end of it. But hey, Haslam's paying out the money, so take it while you can. Minnesota Vikings re-signed Aaron Jones to a 2-year, $20 million extension. Running backs getting their bank this season, as the Saquon Barkley saga has also landed him a 2-year, $42 million contract extension for about 21 average a season for Saquon. But man, he earned it putting up the numbers he did this year. Lions release Zadarius Smith, the defensive end they acquired at the trade deadline. So he will be on his way out of town after not living up to the expectations that they so had for him. The Commanders are also looking for another possible trade. That being, actually, there's 2 trades to talk about. The one that already occurred in Deebo Samuel, so that you got their wide receiver there. They are looking into possibly adding Trey Hendrickson from the Cincinnati Bengals. That's still discussions happening. But here's a new one that took place today. Laramie Tunsil was traded from the Houston Texans to the Washington Commanders for a 2nd and a 4th in 2026 and a 3rd and a 7th round pick in this year's draft. The Commanders also get back the 4th round pick in this year's draft of the Houston Texans. So that will be interesting. Commanders are going all in. They got their other receiver, opposite of Terry McLaurin. They're protecting their quarterback's blind side. They're looking at upgrading the defense even more. They brought back their veteran tight end on a 1-year deal as well. They're loading up for a Super Bowl run. They are in the Super Bowl talk right now because of what happened and transpired last year. So, Commanders fans, time to get excited. Nick Bolton of the Kansas City Chiefs linebacker re-signed 3-year, $45 million. He is a very key piece to that defense, so good on them for locking him up at age 24. The Bills release Von Miller as they continue their, as you would say, house cleaning / shoring up the team. In my opinion, they're re-signing their players such as defensive end Greg Rosenau to a 4-year, $80 million extension. They went and gave Josh Allen his extension, 6-year at $55 annual. They went and re-signed Khalil Shakir to a 3-year extension. They're going out and getting players right now that they feel are going to complement and grow, not just for this season, but future seasons as well, right? Locking up their young guys, getting rid of maybe some old vets. Now these guys are ready to take on that leadership role of that, right? Von Miller isn't not welcome back. He is. It's just at a cap-friendly deal. So I think the Bills are looking good as ever to continue competing for championships. Because, I don't know, there's a lot of loss and trying to keep everything you can in Kansas City, but it's not all for naught. And besides, they aren't even champs no more. That title's been given to the Philadelphia Eagles. So now it's up to them to figure out how to stop them, right? So just a bunch of stuff happened in this offseason. Man, Chiefs re-signed Hollywood Brown even to a 1-year, $11 million deal. See what he can bring back for them, right? Bengals Mike Gesicki, the tight end, getting his purse at 3-year, $25.5 million. 29-year-old tight end just getting his dues finally, right? Marcus Davenport going back to the Lions on a 1-year, $4.25, redo him deal as he wasn't able to prove what he had last year. So just all sorts of things happen. Oh, and let's finish off with, of course, a big offensive lineman off the market, re-signing with the Baltimore Ravens. Ronnie Staley staying on a 3-year contract as a Baltimore Raven to keep Lamar Jackson protected. That is your Around the League news and information for now. We will have lots more for you next week with free agency just starting to heat up. We are in the legal tampering portion of free agency, so let's not forget that. A lot of these deals of new free agents could change if somehow the language and whatever else isn't met in the next couple days. So if those changes happen, we will get you updated here on the BearDown Corner. I have been Sergeant Cornholio. We are on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, and of course iHeartRadio. Don't forget to check out the YouTube when we're on there as well. And that's it. That's a wrap. This is the show, the BearDown Corner. Thank you for joining, tuning in, and we'll catch you all next week. Be safe, take care, and of course, as always, we'll catch you next time.